So I did the worst of 2018. Now I'm going to do the best of 2018. Now this one's going to be a little different because these aren't perfect movies, but these all had movies that had elements I really, really liked, even if I have complaints about parts of them. Again, no particular order. Please Stand By. I already talked about this movie. I thought it had issues with how it dealt with autistic people, but maybe it's just because I'm a Star Trek fan that I got into it a little bit more, that I kind of saw the message of this a little bit more, which I think maybe I either misinterpreted or just saw what wasn't there, because I saw autistic people are going to be taken advantage of by, quote, normal people, and I think the message was supposed to be overcoming your autism to be able to interact in the regular world, but I still enjoyed Please Stand By. You don't have to be a Star Trek fan to enjoy it, but I liked it. Then we've got Gringo. Gringo pissed me off initially, but then I realized I did like it. I do think it's got script problems. It probably needed at least one more rewrite. It's got a great cast. It's brilliantly acted. I was mad at the trailer, because the trailer sold me a wacky comedy. And while those comedy elements are indeed in Gringo, this movie is not a comedy at all. The movie is actually quite serious. It just has comical moments in it. And so Gringo I did enjoy, but I probably would have enjoyed more if I actually got sold the movie that I ended up seeing. That's what kind of pissed me off, is I don't like duplicitous trailers that try and sell us a relatively serious movie as a comedy. Then we come to Terminal. Now, Terminal has a ton of story problems. It's trying to be way too clever for itself, and I saw the plot twist coming a mile away, and yet the movie still treats it with this dun-dun-dun. What I loved about Terminal was its visuals. My God, this movie looks amazing. The lighting, the sets, the camera work, this sort of almost neo-noir, Guillermo del Toro-inspired, neon-lit sort of world that Terminal exists in. It's kind of weird. While the story doesn't work, the cast kills it. The visuals are amazing. I loved the editing. I loved the camera work. This movie just needed a better script, but Terminal was worth watching just for the visuals. Hotel Armistice honestly surprised me. Going into Hotel Armistice, I am like, oh, it's John Wick, but for medical instead of like the hotel thing. And to a degree, that is kind of what it is. I think what elevates it is this weird sort of just pre-cyberpunk setting, which you don't really get from the trailer, but there's this, it's just far enough in the future that these kind of cyberpunk elements exist in it, and, Jodie Foster is just fantastic in this movie. Well, the whole cast is, actually. Sterling K. Brown, all of them. With the exception of maybe Charlie Day. He plays his evil character almost Joker levels of cartoonishly evil. Kinda doesn't work with Zachary Quinto and Jeff Goldblum and all these other characters, where he seems like he's coming from a different movie. Hotel Armistice honestly surprised me. I was kinda shocked that I didn't hate this one. Sicario, Day of the Soldado. Now, it's not as good as the first film. The first Sicario is borderline a masterpiece. But in Sicario de la Soldado, I was totally on board with until the last, 20 minutes. There's a plot twist that happens that I think goes into almost 80s action movie territory, where you just kind of, okay, now we're straining credulity here. Now we're getting a little bit ridiculous. So the last 20 minutes kind of angered me. A character has a change of heart out of nowhere, which is never explained, and I always hate when that happens in movies. But the bulk of Sicario de la Soldado is fantastic, and if not for that last 20 minutes, it might have been on par with the first movie. Sorry to bother you. I actually think this might be the best movie of the year. I think it is a brilliant satire on race relations, on selling out, on who you actually are, on advertising, on commercialism, on capitalism, on greed. It's a satire, but it's 100% played straight, even when the third act weirdness comes into play. And it really, none of that's in the trailer, but it really goes, I almost say off the rails, but in a good way. I didn't like Get Out. I think Jordan Peele is a hack. And I think Get Out was like getting hit in the head with a sledgehammer with the message. Whereas Sorry to Bother You is like being seduced with the message. And I think that's why Sorry to Bother You is a far, far better film than Get Out could ever hope to be. And Boots Riley is a way better visual director than Jordan Peele. Because my God, does this movie have visual style coming out its ass. And that is amazing. Another one, did a full video on it, Bad Times at the El Royale. Again, I didn't like everything in this movie. Parts of it was trying to be too clever for its own good. I loved the lighting, I loved the mood, the acting is all dead on. Even by someone I don't really like Chris Hemsworth, he was great in this as, I guess, not Charles Manson. Bad Times at the El Royale is not going to be for everybody. You kind of got to be into that old style detective thriller. It's not technically a detective story, but there's detective elements to it. I like the fact that it's sort of Rashomon. It's sort of told out of order, kind of. I liked the setting, which I don't think they exploited as much as they probably should have. It seemed like it was a wasted setting where, this could have technically happened anywhere instead of where it is. Bad Times at the El Royale was not a terrible movie, and I did come out enjoying it. Let the Corpses Tan. The Belgian throwback to 70s Italian films. I did a whole video on it. This is one of those super experimental, super artistic movies that is not going to be for everybody, and I really hope they never dub it. I saw it subtitled when it gets released on DVD in America that they don't fucking dub this thing. It's light on story, but it's just the visuals, the aesthetic, the style. I really enjoyed Let the Corpses Tan. Other Side of the Wind. Yes, I know this movie isn't technically 2018, but it has a 2018 copyright on it, so I'm considering Other Side of the Wind a 2018 movie. I did a full video on it. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Not Orson Welles' best film for obvious reasons, but Other Side of the Wind, you have to see this movie. It's not going to be for everybody, but you at least need to see it. Mandy. I did a full video on it. Mandy just blew me away. The visuals, the acting, the story is where it's a little bit weak, but there's so much to process in Mandy. And again, this is not going to be a movie that's for everybody. That's right up there. And if you don't like it, then you don't like it. That's fine. But I thought Mandy was one of those movies you almost don't even watch. You experience Mandy. And then finally a movie that just seemed to slip through theaters and just squeak out into home video, and that's called Bomb City. Bomb City is played like a legal thriller. It's based on a true story, and from what I understand, is relatively close. And it's played like a courtroom drama. The only reason the courtroom drama scenes didn't work for me is I do remember the original case, and they use some of the original news coverage and things like that in the movie. I do remember the original case and the outcome, so the courtroom angle didn't really catch me as well as it might somebody who's not familiar with the case it's based on. Bomb City, it's a punk rock movie, it's a personal movie, it's a throwback movie to the early 1990s. It's a movie that kind of has something for everybody. Yes, it's got a lot of punk rock stuff, but if you're into a clash of cultures and a clash of classes, that's there. Like I said, it's got the courtroom angle, it has the public outrage angle, it goes back to this time when Marilyn Manson and Beavis and Butthead were wrecking the world for teenagers and all this. Bomb City was a great movie, and it seems nobody has seen it out there because it did not do well at all, but I highly recommend Bomb City. So that all said, yeah, I actually do like some things. If you don't agree with me, well, too bad.